I'm Lexi. I'm in the US. And today is one of my favorite annual videos to do. It is Star Trek Day. For this year's Star Trek Day, I thought we would take a look at some of the food from the Enterprise series with Captain Archer. In Enterprise, this series took place before they had replicators, so they had an actual cook. Now, most of the food was pretty normal Earth stuff. Prime rib, fried catfish, steaks, that sort of thing. So I had to dig a little bit to find something fun. I don't think it's all that unique, but it's sugar, so fun, right? There is an episode in the middle of season 1, I believe it's episode 12, where the captain wants to celebrate Malcolm Reed's birthday by making him his favorite food, and puts Hoshi Sato in charge of finding out what that favorite food might be, which is a much larger challenge for her than you'd normally think it is to find somebody's favorite food. But eventually, by going to Dr. Phlox and finding out that Reed has been taking allergy treatments so that he can eat pineapple, she settles on making him a pineapple cake, which he then does confirm is his favorite. So we're going to make Reed's pineapple birthday cake. In this bowl, I have 3/4 cup, which is a stick and a half, or 168 grams of room temperature butter, along with a cup and a half, or 310 grams of sugar. To that, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup, which is 60 milliliters of vegetable oil. And then we are going to cream this together well until it is light and fluffy. I feel like it's been a little while since we've done this, but I'm going to speed the footage up and turn the volume down so that I don't hurt anyone's ears with the mixer. Now, next, we're going to add 4 eggs, one at a time, and mixing in between. Last one. All right, next, we're going to throw some vanilla in here. That might be a lot. It'll be fine. And I need a fork. And this recipe calls for 16 ounces of crushed pineapple with the juice. Well, I couldn't find a 16-ounce can of crushed pineapple. This is a 20-ounce can. So we're just not going to add the whole thing. But we're only going to add about half to start with. About like that. Give it a mix. And now we add about half the dry ingredients. We're only going to add half of what I've got. But this is 2.5 cups of flour, which is 325 grams. So in goes about half of that. And then we'll put in the 1/4 teaspoon of salt, the 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Give this another mix. The other half of our approximate 16 ounces of pineapple. It's going to be close. And the other half of our flour. That looks pretty good to me. Now I need some cake pans. I'm just going to push this forward a little bit. Now I'm going to show you how I do this once, and then I'll do the other two off camera. But I've got a piece of parchment paper that's going to cover the whole cake pan. I'm going to fold it in half. Then in half again. Then in half this way, creating a point here. This is almost like you're going to make a snowflake. And then we're going to go one more time. You hold the point of this at the middle of the pan. And cut. And actually I like to do this way. And now we've got a parchment paper circle that fits the bottom of the pan. And I need to grease the sides. Forgot some butter. I'm just going to rub the butter, I'm not sure if you can see this, on the sides of the cake pan. Not doing the bottom. I could, but I've got the parchment paper, so I don't need to. That goes in. Then I need a spatula. And I'm going to put approximately 1/3 of the cake batter into here. This does make a 3-layer cake, and that is quite a large cake. It is a larger cake than they had on Enterprise, on the episode for Malcolm's birthday. I might need to add a little more to that, but I'm going to do the other two first. Once you have filled your pans up, you're going to bake this. I need to check my temperature. You're going to bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 C, for 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm going to get these in the oven, and then I'll see you back to make the filling. Be right back. All right, cakes are in the oven. So let's head over to the stovetop. I know we don't really go to the stove, but let's head over to the stovetop and make the filling for this pineapple cake. Okay, so for the filling, and I really hope the lighting works out because this is only the second time I've tried this setup. But I've got an 8-ounce can, well, 8 1/4, but it's close enough. An 8-ounce can of crushed pineapple. And that's going to go into a saucepan on the stove. To this, we're going to add, I should turn the stove on. I'm just going to put that on like a medium-low. 1/3 cup of sugar. And this is about 2 tablespoons of water mixed with about 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch until we got a slurry. So that's going to go in, and that's going to help this thicken up a bit. stir to combine. And then this, you're just going to cook and stir for several minutes until it's simmering and it starts to thicken. It will thicken more once it cools, so don't over thicken. But once you've got it thickened to some extent, go ahead, take it off the heat and let it cool. I will see you back when the cakes are cooling so that we can make some frosting. Because what's a cake without frosting? It's been a while. I'm back. The cake is cooled. Time to make some frosting. I want to make Russian buttercream for this. It calls for a whipped cream frosting in the recipe I'm basing this on, but I feel like a whipped cream frosting isn't sturdy enough to hold in a filling, and an American buttercream is going to be too heavy for the light, happy pineapple. And as far as like a Swiss buttercream or a Italian buttercream, well, I've never done those. And today is not going to be the day to do that. So we're going to go for Russian buttercream, which I have made, and I honestly found it really easy, but it has a reputation for being kind of tricky. So I'm going to start with 2 sticks of butter, and I don't know if this is going to be enough frosting for the whole cake, but if it's not, we will either have a naked cake or I will make more frosting. I'm going to start with 2 sticks of butter, and you have to whip this within an inch of its life. So go ahead and you put this in your stand mixer or use your handy dandy hand mixer for a good 5 to 7 minutes. You don't need to see all that. I'll be back when this is done. Now I have whipped this until it has stopped looking yellow and started looking white. And the next thing that we need to add is some sweetened condensed milk. The trick to this, in theory, is going slowly and only adding a bit of the sweetened condensed milk at a time. No more than a quarter of the can. So I'm going to pour about that much in. And then we're going to mix for a little bit. Hang on. So far, so good. This time, we're going to add a little vanilla too. I could have done this with the first edition, but I wanted to get a little bit, and I just got frosting on my face. I wanted to get a little bit of that sweetened condensed milk in here before I added the vanilla. So, about that much. And some more mixing. That's looking pretty good to me. Addition number 3. And addition number 4. Little more mixing. Now, it says that you can add some powdered sugar if you want a stiffer frosting. And from the looks of this, I do. So I'm going to get some powdered sugar. That's half a cup-ish. This still is looking a bit softer than I'd like it. Maybe making the Russian buttercream instead of the whipped cream frosting was not a great call. We'll make this work. That's probably about a cup. This might be a very sweet frosting. Just want to scrape down the sides. Okay. Tastes good. I think that'll work. It's staying pretty stiff on the spoon. Tastes real good. I am going to go get the cake and a piping bag, and we'll put this all together. All right, I've got the first layer on the plate, and I'm just going to put some of this frosting into here. I'm not going to pipe the whole thing, so I don't have like a nice tip on it or anything. I just want to be able to make a dam to hold the filling in. Forgot the filling. Okay, this is the filling. There's not a whole lot of it. If I make this cake again, I would probably double the filling. We'll set that over there. Now to make a dam for the filling, we're just gonna pipe around the edge. And I'm remembering that the middle layer of this cake is slightly smaller than the other two. So we're going to do it like that. And that should be okay because there's not a ton of filling. I'm not going to, normally I would go 2 pipings tall, put another layer on, but because we don't have a lot of filling here, I'm not going to. Probably should have put some frosting on the bottom of this, huh? We'll make do. I'm still concerned about not having enough frosting. Okay. Layer 1. This is layer 2. And just like that, give it a little wiggle. I need a little bit more frosting in my bag. It is not cooperating and going in happily, but we shall persevere. You know, I am going to put some frosting on the bottom of this layer. And then we'll see which one we like better. You know, I have one of those cake turntables. I've never used it. I forgot until this moment that I had it. I could have, and I don't know, should have. I'm doing okay. But I could have used it. This one's a little flat in places, so I'm going to go ahead and go around twice. And then the other half of the pineapple. Ah, now it's not going to spread as well since I've got the frosting down. There's benefits to going both ways, aren't there? I have only done a filled cake once before, and it was not a 3-layer cake. It was a 2-layer cake, and it was a strawberry lemonade tiger striped cake. If I can find a picture, I'll stick it in here. And I filled it with a strawberry jam, and it was quite good. Okay. Third, I'm going to put this in the sink and get the 3rd layer. 3rd layer. Come on, you want to come out. There we go. Generally, you want to take cakes out of the pans when they're still hot, but I knew with the parchment paper on the bottom, I was not likely to actually have issues getting this out. And I put the whole cake in the freezer so that it would thaw quicker because I have a patience problem. Okay, line it up, a little bit of squishing, and then we're just going to put the rest of the frosting on top. And if we've got enough to let it cascade down the sides, we will. Squeeze everything out of the piping bag for good measure. Don't want to let any of that yummy frosting go to waste. Could I pipe this on the top all pretty and delicate? Yep. Am I gonna? Clearly nope. Not this. I emptied half my stinking drawer to find where I put this. I'm gonna use it. I don't know if you can see the pile of stuff behind me there, but couldn't find the offset spatula in the drawer. And it does seem that I'm going to have enough. This is still pretty loose frosting. I'm okay with that. It would probably tighten up if I stuck the whole cake in the fridge and let it sit for an hour or so. Or if I stuck the frosting in the fridge for half an hour before I put it on the cake, that would probably do it too. Yeah, I'm picking crumbs up. That's kind of sad. Oh, no, come on, stay on the cake. Okay. Well, the Russian buttercream is not being my friend. So we're just going to ignore the sides and call it a cake. Not everything is perfect, right? Right? And it'll taste good. I want to get a picture of the cake so you can see why I'm kind of giving up on the frosting. It's just slumping off the sides. I'm going to put that there. But I need a knife and a fork and a plate because I'm going to taste this right now. Am I even in the screen? That's what I get for not being able to see my overhead camera. We're just going to cut. Oh, that looks good. That looks absolutely delicious, even if the icing is a little squelchy. Get some of the squelchy icing. Okay, even with the messy icing, if somebody gave this to me as a surprise birthday cake, I would be so, so happy. This is delicious. This is absolutely delicious. And it's now going to be a problem that I have a 3-layer cake of this in my house. Wow. Wow. And happy birthday to Malcolm Reed. It's been another successful Star Trek day, and I can't wait to do it again next year. So if you enjoyed the video, if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and maybe watch the rest of the playlist, I'd really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye! Live long and prosper.